Good morning. My name is Han Hong. I'm the Senior Export Advisor at Investment New South Wales. I'd like to acknowledge, firstly, welcome everyone to the sessions today and get settled. And while Anne is coming through, we have a jam-packed agenda for today, and we'll be having firstly 2 speakers from Investment New South Wales and New South Wales Health, and then we'll go into the details of individual programs in which you'll be able to see, whether they're suitable for you. And from that, we'll have speakers from 2 success stories, David Lloyd from Southern Star Research and Brad Wash from Minomic International. And then there'll be a lot of time for questions and networking. All right, so firstly, I'd like to quickly introduce the first 2 speakers. Nicoline Van Can, Associate Director, Export Advisory at Investment New South Wales, the Premier's Department. Nicoline has over 10 years experience in the international relations and diplomatic sector. Nicoline worked for the economic development of the Consulate General of the Netherlands in Sydney, and currently Nicoline managed the export advisory team at Investment New South Wales at the Premier's Department. Anne O'Neill, Director of Enterprise, International Partnerships and Clinical Trials, Office of Health and Medical Research at New South Wales Health. Anne has over 25 years experience in health, medical research and the public sector. Anne and her team is responsible for leading the development and implementation of major policies and programs to enhance medical research and capability in New South Wales. Anne and her team is also responsible for the New South Wales Medical Device Fund and the New South Wales Commercialisation Training, which celebrates its 10-year tenure just a few weeks ago. I'd like now to invite Nicoline to come and formally get us started.
Very much, Han, and a very warm welcome to you all on this Friday morning. A great turnout. I hope you made it all dry, contrary to yesterday's weather. But I too would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting today, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Now, as kindly introduced by Han, my name is Nicoline Van Can and I work for Investment New South Wales, which sits under the New South Wales Premier's Department. So we are the state's economic development agency and we drive international and local investment. So we bring the best of New South Wales to the world and the best of the world to New South Wales. So I lead our team of export advisors who are based throughout the state. We have 5 export advisors based in Sydney and 5 based in regional New South Wales. And they work directly with New South Wales businesses to advise them on exports. Now, we are here today to talk about expanding your health and medtech businesses to overseas markets. You've come to the right place, as Investment New South Wales, together with New South Wales Health, have been supporting New South Wales businesses for many years in taking their business to the global stage. New South Wales is Australia's largest state and the engine room of the national economy. New South Wales is also the birthplace of global medtech leaders such as Cochlear and ResMed. We have a long and rich history of health and life sciences businesses taking breakthrough products and services to the world. So these days, 1 in 4 Australian jobs are created from export-related activities. New South Wales bio and medtech companies, such as yours, are significant contributors to Australia's economic prosperity. Not only do you create jobs as you grow, but you also help to future-proof our critical technology industries with your solutions. Growing and diversifying export is important, but selling into international markets can be challenging. That is why the New South Wales government helps small and medium businesses to unlock new markets. Now, one of the free programs that we offer is the Going Global Export Program. This program supports export-ready businesses through a free 4 to 6 month market entry program that includes professional coaching, mentoring, and business matching. Cohorts of similar businesses from across an industry will participate, typically culminating in a trade mission to the chosen market to meet customers and establish trade opportunities. For health in 24-25, New South Wales is pleased to be delivering our highly sought-after Going Global program in the UK again, and partnering with New South Wales Health to help deliver this. Is this working? I'll turn it up a notch. So the New South Wales Going Global program eHealth to the USA is already well underway, and Going Global Health to the Middle East is currently open for applications. We will have some of New South Wales's offshore-based trade and investment commissioners speak about the opportunities in their markets shortly. Now, I personally am delighted to join you all here today, together with Dr. Anne O'Neill, Director Enterprise International Engagement and Clinical Trials at New South Wales Health. We are also joined by my team members Han Hong and Helen Chen, Senior Export Advisors based in Sydney, and the Investment New South Wales Export Programs team. I also wanted to warmly welcome Robin Lindner, General Manager, Oz Biotech New South Wales, Duncan McInnes, Director of Stakeholder Engagement at MTP Connect, Anthony Murray, Chair of Bio New South Wales, and Annalise Appleton, Regional Manager Sydney East from Oz Industry. Thank you also to David Lloyd, Managing Director, Southern Star Research, and Brad Walsh, CEO, Minomic International, for being here with us today to share your tips on making the most of the programs and the support available. Now, the caliber of today's group really speaks to the admirable capabilities of the New South Wales bio and medtech technology sector. We are very excited to profile New South Wales companies at the Australian pavilions of various global conferences presented by our team today. We look forward to the connectivity the delegations will create for New South Wales biotech and medtech businesses in terms of both trade and investment. Now, I'd like to invite Anne to the front to provide an overview of the New South Wales health sector and the role of New South Wales Health. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and it's really lovely to see such a great turnout. I think the weather probably helps, because yesterday I don't think we would have seen as many people. So I'm Anne O'Neill. I work in New South Wales Health in the Office for Health and Medical Research. I think we might have some slides as well. I'd also like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we are gathered to meet, the Gadigal people, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and past and present. And I also extend that respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people present here today. I also acknowledge that our First Nations people are our first scientists, innovators and healers, and I think that's quite apt to remember that as part of our discussions today. I'm really delighted that Investment New South Wales has asked me to join you this morning to talk about the strengths of the New South Wales health system, because I think that goes to really into our whole life sciences sector in New South Wales, and the strength of New South Wales Health as an asset and as a partnership with you in your journey, I think is really, really important. So we have a public health system and a life sciences sector that is a standout on the global stage. And I certainly know in my conversations with international partners and international sites that we are truly recognised for this as a strength. We should really be proud of what we deliver and produce in New South Wales. It really makes a difference to health outcomes, not only here, but around the world. And really to make sure that we remain in the minds of our partners globally, and to remain competitive, we really can't be shy in really applauding and touting what we have here in New South Wales. And what we want to do as part of this program is to work with you so that you have that messaging as well. So I'm going to talk to you about some of the outstanding capabilities and assets that we have, and also to work with you about raising the profile of our incredible ecosystem. So the New South Wales public health system is Australia's largest and is recognised as one of the world's best. We have an annual operating budget of which is probably the envy of a lot of the other agencies in our government. It takes a fair chunk of change, but we also have over 135,000 full-time staff. We have 230 public hospitals and a large range of tertiary and quaternary facilities. We're also home to health innovation precincts, and these are clusters of health services, education institutes, medical research institutes, and industry to maximise that connection between partners, investment, education, training, and research. Next slide, please. We also have significant assets and infrastructure that may not all be relevant to what you do, but it certainly speaks to the fact that we're joined up in terms of the health system and then the assets that we have. We have a statewide biobank, and it connects to over 300 New South Wales health pathology services, or collection centres rather. We've invested to support the establishment of Australia's first GMP-grade clinical commercial viral vector manufacturing facility out at Westmead, as well as the RNA research and pilot manufacturing facility at Macquarie. We're also leading the way in the manufacture of bacteriophage therapy through a collaboration between the Westmead Institute for Medical Research, University of Sydney, and Westmead Hospital. We're enormously proud of that because in the rise of antimicrobial resistance, having other things that we can talk about in terms of therapies and prevention is really important. With respect to clinical trials, certainly when I was at Bio this year, it was a given. I started the spiel on this, and you all know it really well, I'm sure, in terms of our capabilities, the infrastructure that we've developed, the fact that we have really invested heavily into early phase clinical trials in terms of making sure that we have a standard of approving those trials through the ethics process in less than 20 days, having accredited sites and key opinion leaders that can deliver those trials in an efficient and safe and timely way. Certainly when I started that spiel at Bio this year, so no, we know about that. You're known for that. Tell us how we can start our businesses here. Tell us what supports you can get to get us our C-suite. Tell us about the R&D tax incentive. So I thought that was a really great testament to the work that we've done over the last few years. It was actually commenced by Anita Vandermeer back in the day when we set up Clinical Trials New South Wales, that we are known for this. And I think also the fact that we have a doorway into New South Wales Health through Clinical Trials New South Wales. It's a free service to anybody locally or globally to come in, help navigate the system, triage issues, connect with the rest of Australia and the region, which is really important. In terms of our ecosystem, we have, of course, I've just talked about some strong foundations, but we are home, as has been, Nicholas mentioned, that thriving life sciences and technology sector. Almost all the global pharmaceutical and medical device companies base their Australian operations here in Sydney, and 30% of biotech companies are located here. We're home to over half of Australia's startups, and we're the national leader, in fact, of medtech patent activity. And New South Wales businesses make up over 55% of Australia's $6.1 billion in medtech industry, which is it's quite significant. Also, in terms of our research, we're home to 2 of the world's top 20 universities, and all of this is connected into health in a variety of ways. In terms of what OHMR has to offer, or the Office for Health and Medical Research, many of you would have had touch points into these programs. Certainly, we've already mentioned the Medical Device Fund and Commercialisation Training Program, but we fund all along the spectrum, and we enable along the spectrum in terms of the training and the support that we offer, from scholarships to EMCs to translational research grants. I will talk a little bit more about the Medical Devices Fund, thank you. So I'm hoping that you know about this fund. It's been around for 12 years. It's not just has longevity, but impact. It's really one of the funds that actually sparked the whole way health considers itself in the ecosystem of industry and working with industry as opposed to being a formal procurement process or at arm's length. This is one of the programs that's really opened up New South Wales Health as being open for business, for industry. So over the past 12 years now, we've awarded $85 million to 45 technologies, and these funds have, as you can see, have raised significant capital in terms of, we're now over $1 billion in capital, in public and private capital. Over 200 clinical trials, and that's not just nationally, but that's globally. And it's now closer to 900,000 medical device units have also been deployed globally. In terms of our commercialisation training program, and this I think goes to the fact that we don't just have funds and an ecosystem, but we have capability. And as Han mentioned, we did celebrate 10 years was it last week? It's been a blur. 10 years of the program, and it has also been incredible in terms of raising the bar about appreciating that we need a special skill set, a particular drive, particular passion, some stamina as well thrown in there, and a bit of a never say die attitude when it comes to being an entrepreneur and an innovator. And so this program has harnessed that, working obviously closely in partnership with Cicada Innovations to really uplift our sector, and also to give alternative pathways to academics who may find themselves not in a position to get tenure, which has been another nice part of that. But again, we thought this was about upskilling, but in fact these these cohorts have actually launched companies. They've raised their own capital. They've also run clinical trials and treated patients, which is actually a really fantastic story for us, and I'm sure many of you would have interacted with that program. So we work in close partnership with Investment New South Wales. We can't do everything, and I think that we also bring some expertise and subject matter knowledge for Investment New South Wales to leverage. We have that deep knowledge and connection within the health sector and across our medical research institutes and universities, and I think that all goes to help you in your journey. So in terms of what I have to say, oh yes, of course, international partnerships. Sorry, forgive me, Michelle. This has also been critical in terms of how we interact both locally and internationally, in terms of being that connector into what can seem to be a big black box of health, you know, where to go, who to talk to, how to find those connections. And certainly Michelle and her team is responsible for leading this, and also working with delegations, working closely again with Investment New South Wales, and also supporting the missions that we have, whether it be bio or whether it be other delegations too. I think the next one is going to be MedTech, the MedTech conference in Toronto. So on that note, this is us. Please do reach out if you want more information. That was a bit of a whistle-stop tour, but in this room, you know, we have incredible talent and passion. Within this office, we have incredible talent and passion, and I think you all need to get to know each other. Thank you.
And thank you, Nicolene. For the next part of the programs, we'll be spending around 15-20 minutes to go through individual programs. I'd like now to, if you could turn on the next slide, Sally, and wanted just to do a really quick show of the list of the programs that we'll be covering today. And yep, lots of camera and photos. And then we're moving on to the next speakers, please. I'd like now to invite Sean online to speak to us about USA programs. We can't hear you yet.
That is my fault. Rookie mistake. I apologize. Can everybody hear me now?
Yes, we hear.
Gotcha. All right. Thanks, Han. Thanks, everybody. If you want to just jump to the next slide, Sally, and leave it there. I'm not going to run through slides, so this will be quick. But before I talk about Bio 2025, which a lot of you will be familiar with already, I just wanted to highlight a few of them have been mentioned, but that's not the only event program that we're focused on here this financial year to the US. We're currently underway with a digital health program in partnership with the guys at Health, which is coming to both Silicon Valley and Nevada for the health conference in a few weeks' time. So really looking forward to that cohort. Anne previously mentioned it, but I know that Duncan and the team at MTP Connect are putting on a great program to the MedTech conference in Toronto with a great visit to Minnesota as part of that as well, that some of you will be joining. So, and on top of that, we will also be doing some partnering and networking opportunities around JP Morgan Healthcare Investment Conference, which is in January in San Francisco, right in the middle of your summer holidays. But I know that some will be traveling to that. So I'm happy to speak to anybody about that one separately. But the reason for mentioning all three of those is it demonstrates the size of the sector and the opportunity that we have here in North America, and how truly global events, these are all truly global events where a lot of Australian companies can come and meet investors and industry clients and partners from all around the world. Specifically on Bio 2025, the New South Wales government and the wider Team Australia, for that matter, has been participating in Bio for a number of years now. It's the largest healthcare conference in the world. And over the last few instances, we've honed our approach to building out this particular Going Global program in partnership with New South Wales Health. We see companies coming to the US on our Going Global programs for three main reasons. There's the companies that are looking to expand physically. There's those guys that are coming out to meet potential clients and partners. And then we do get quite a lot of companies that are out here exploring potential investment from US investors and venture capital here in the Bay Area. So as such, we've built out this Going Global program for health to the US around two key elements. There's the robust virtual program in the lead up to the conference, and then there's the in-person program that we build around the conference. So after the application process, which will likely kick off in December or January, Han can correct me if I'm wrong on that, we conduct a virtual program, which for those of you that have been on these programs before, consists of about 8 to 10 weeks of a series of virtual webinars, panel discussions with experts. We cover topics such as regulatory compliance, engaging with the FDA, setting up in the US physically, hearing from venture capitalists, lessons from founders that have done it before, from corporates, and new last year potential expression of interest sessions with some of the larger pharma companies here in the US, and that piece is usually done in partnership with our colleagues at Oxford. This is coupled with pitch coaching that we procure, as well as networking opportunities in Sydney. Anne also just mentioned it, and I'm sure you'll hear it from a lot of people in the room today, but the networking opportunities in Sydney in the lead up to these programs are really important. We find that people that get the most out of these cohorts get a lot out of engaging with each other in a networking setting, in a partnership setting, prior to departure, because it's something that a lot of people don't find the time for in the day-to-day. And so we like to lean into that as well. The in-person portion of these programs, Bio is unique in that it has one of the best partnering systems, albeit the technology is quite old, but it's 18 to 20,000 people partnering and doing a series of quick meetings to meet as many people as possible. And so cohort members on our Going Global program get access to that from Investment New South Wales and New South Wales Health. And then we also lean into maximizing the networking opportunities that you have while here in market. And that's through our own events that we put on. That's through partner events across the wider Team Australia, which was around 500 delegates in size this past year. And then the wider networks and relationships that we have here in the US with different partners, and getting our cohorts access to events to meet as many people as possible to make that journey in the US and North America as smooth as possible. So for anybody interested in discussing Bio 2025, which is set for Boston next June, or for any of the other programs that we mentioned, specifically JP Morgan, I'm happy to chat anytime. Han has my details, but really looking forward to that program next year and looking forward to undertaking it with many of you.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sean. Thank you. So I'd like just to add on the cost element. If you're wondering what you should prepare, is that if you are successfully selected into our programs, the cost that you will cover for is your flight and accommodations, and everything else is subsidized completely by from our team here at New South Wales Health and Investment New South Wales. I'd like now to invite Eugene Kim, New South Wales Trade Investment Director in Seoul, to talk about BioKorea programs. Over to you, Eugene.
Thanks, Han. Hi, I'm Eugene Kim. I'm a New South Wales State Government Trade and Investment Director for Korea. I'm based in Seoul. So BioKorea, yes, BioKorea is the South Korea's premier biotech conference, and it is held annually since 2006. It was held online in 2020 because due to the COVID. And it serves as a business platform for international bio companies, and it is sponsored by the Korea Ministry of Health and Welfare, and also organized by the Korea Health Industry Development Institute. We call them KIDI, Korea Health Industry Development Institute, and Chungbuk Province. In 2014, MOU has been signed between KIDI and Oz Biotech. So Austria's Seoul office has coordinated and managed Australian delegates to BioKorea since 2015, working with each state governments based in Korea. And New South Wales state government is sponsoring BioKorea Australian Pavilion since 2016. So who are attending? Australian businesses and research institutes in drug discovery and R&D, and cell and gene therapy, and CROs and related service providers. Also, contract manufacturing and digital health technologies are attending BioKorea. So this table shows the list of Australian delegation this year in May. So we have 37 exhibitors from Australia and 8 from New South Wales companies. So objectives of Australia program at BioKorea is to celebrate the strong partnership of Australia-Korea biotech industry and key stakeholders. And we try to enhance Australian profile as a strong R&D collaboration partner, to maintain momentum of Australian profile as ideal destination for clinical trial contract manufacturing. And we also provide an opportunity for quality business matching to generate new business and to strengthen existing profile. And we often provide site visit program to a top pharmaceutical company here in Korea. So this is an optional program. And this year we had a seminar titled Australian Cell and Gene Therapy Clinical Trial and GMP Manufacturing Seminar, which is followed by the business matching. Business matching has been organized by the MTP Connect. And this year we are trying to outsource the services to a special company when it comes to business matching. And so you can use both online platform and offline business matching services. And of course, we organize Australian National Pavilion, and we are going to have a New South Wales stand to accommodate the New South Wales companies. And we invite Australian experts for the speaking spots at the conference sessions. And Australia-Korea investment partnership session can be arranged as well. And each year we organize the Australian networking function, working together with the MTP Connect and Kitty. So next slide. The Australian participants will have access to register for BioKorea 2025 partnering program and to organize their own meeting schedules. So Seoul Post will promote Australian delegation extensively through Korean biotech industry to help generate quality business meetings with the Australian delegation. And we will help each Australian participant to register and follow up on the business meeting arrangements during the BioKorea period. And we will support targeted business meetings on our best effort. And Australian participants attending the event physically can have business meetings at the Australian National Pavilion. And you can also use the dedicated meeting spaces at the BioKorea venue, which is COEX. So what's the cost? So this year was the cost for the FCA, full convention access, was USD 700 per account. So what you usually do is you register your organization's account, and so your members can use this platform for the business matching. And the other expenses are complementary because the New South Wales government, Investment New South Wales, is sponsoring BioKorea. So complimentary access to Australian Pavilion and business networking session and Australian seminar. This will be sponsored by the state government. So we hope to see you, most of you, in May next year. Thanks.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you very much for spending your spare time out of your conference in Seoul today to speak to us. I'd like now to move on to present Health to the Middle East programs. The program is led by my colleague Helen Chen, who is here today, and Trade Investment Commissioner Moin Anwar in Dubai. Moin is an apology today due to his other commitments, and it's a Friday in the Middle East, but we've recorded a message from Moin, and I'd like to now play for the audience.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and once again, it's a pleasure to be working with all the companies from New South Wales who are keen on the Going Global export program stream to the Middle East for Health and Medtech. This indeed is an interesting sort of a stream which we've been working since following the challenges of COVID, and we've actually seen a number of companies achieving great success in the region. And for 2025, it basically allows us to build on the past successes and introduce new companies into the market, which is growing and is keen on new products, services, and technologies from around the world. And obviously, Australia is well positioned to service these segments. So in a nutshell, if I look at it, the GCC has a population of about 60 million. Obviously, Saudi Arabia is the largest sort of population base within the region. But if you look at the region and if you look at perhaps 3 to 4 hours flying distance from Dubai, the population catchment area is more than 1 billion. And that includes countries like India, which is in close proximity. Arab Health in its own standing is within this sort of large area of 3 to 4 hours within Dubai. Population of 1 billion plus is the largest health and medtech exhibition. And therefore, it is an ideal platform if you do have an interest to export to this region to be part of Arab Health. The program is basically designed to help you understand the market opportunities, the market challenges, and how you prepare yourself to enter the market. The region has been, as we are witnessing following COVID, governments have been trying to reduce the expenditure on health. And as a result, in many countries, private medical insurance or government-backed medical insurance is now becoming mandatory. This obviously opens up the market to a number of new opportunities. Digital solutions is something which governments are now looking at quite closely. It's from a treatment perspective, it's from a monitoring perspective, and it's from a care perspective. Also, if you look at the small devices which people can utilize at home to basically take care of themselves, we're seeing that there's a growing interest to look at those products availability into this region. So in a nutshell, I would say that if you are keen on the region does have some medical issues over here in the sense that people do have type 2 diabetes, which is quite high in this region. Cardiovascular is also quite high. So there is a growing interest in the region to see how they can actually combat these sorts of issues, and improving lifestyle is one. So this is where I say the opportunities for companies from New South Wales is across the spectrum. It's just supplying into solutions into the hospital, the retail sector, as well as now we are seeing e-commerce is also growing quite rapidly in this part of the world, and therefore companies coming into this region where the solutions, which is products or services which can be sold through e-commerce, they should look at e-commerce retail opportunities also. The program, in a nutshell, will allow you to understand where the opportunities are. Through the program, we would also be introducing you to potential importers, distributors, partners. So before you land into the country and are part of the cohort participating at Arab Health, you will be fully equipped in terms of the local market knowledge, the opportunities, and what to be careful of. So with that in mind, I hope you're successful in the application for Going Global Export Program, and we being on the ground look forward to interacting with you during the course of the curriculum, and then finally welcome you to Arab Health, and subsequently working in the post exhibition period where we would be helping you connect with potential partners and hand-holding you till commercial outcomes are accomplished. So with that in mind, once again, welcome to the stream, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Delegates program. So I'd like just to quickly ask if there's any questions so far. A little bit of a pause. I know there's a lot of interest for BioUSA, and there were questions about eligibility already, but yeah, if you have any burning questions, feel free to raise. Other than that, I'd like now to move on to the next couple of slides that talks about smaller delegation programs to Asia Pacific. First of all, I'd like to just refresh. I know a lot of you, and you also spoke to me before, just that I am an official employee at Investment New South Wales and also a member of Austrade. At Austrade, my colleagues are Melina Bliss in Sydney here. She is an apology for today. And there is Anne Damien and Kamal Akabari, who's based in Brisbane. So just so you know that we will also work as a team with Austrade. Now, just going through quickly, you will notice that a lot of our smaller programs here are either led by New South Wales team offshore, or we collaborate with Austrade. So sometimes you will hear that the team offshore will comprise of our New South Wales colleagues as well as Austrade colleagues, but it doesn't matter as long as your businesses are supported. Now, Investment New South Wales has run these smaller delegates programs for a while. We are quite familiar with them. They're not new to us. Over the year, we've seen that these programs, if you could go back to the previous slide, not yet, the prior. So over the years, we've noticed that these smaller delegates programs has been provide valuable platform for your business to connect with overseas business partner. And we do see that businesses come back for those programs. So we wanted to this time give you heads up. If you are interested, do let me know, because application for these programs are first come, first serve. And it is an EOI by email. Because we do want it to fill them quickly and get the programs moving. So first of all, these programs that I'm showing here, including BioJapan, BioAsia Taiwan, and BioAsia India, the benefits for business are to be able to exhibit at our booth, at the Australian Pavilion booth. The benefits is also that your business is able to do business partnering, as well as additional business matching or business introduction that our team offshore will organize. The costs on businesses are, of course, again, your flight and your accommodations and incidentals. So I'm going to move quickly about BioJapan. So BioJapan this year will take place from the 9th to the 11th of October. We are now concluded with the delegates confirmation. New South Wales will have 6 companies under the Australian Pavilion, which makes up nearly half of the Australian contingency this year. So it's getting bigger. I'm very glad that that's the case. It's going to happen in Yokohama. Yeah, I wish all participants another successful conference for Japan. With BioAsia in Taiwan, the delegates programs completed this year in July. Again, there were a big interest from CRO and clinical trials related businesses. And the reason why it's such a big pull into BioAsia Taiwan, because this country is recognized worldwide for fast growing and innovation driven biotech and medical technology sector. And for the following year, which is July 2025, our team will also be expecting to hold a similar delegates comprising of 6 to 8 companies. So if you are interested in this area, do put your EOI early. And if you're late for this year, again, we'll be more than happy to put you on to next year's programs. Now I'm going to talk quickly about Asia in India. This is the first time in my time here at Investment New South Wales that we'll be holding a BioAsia India. It will be in February with the dates to be confirmed, and the EOI will be shared in the last week of October. So BioAsia is India's premier life sciences and health care. With this year, Investment New South Wales will be inviting companies in the area of clinical trials, drug discovery and new chemical entity, biologicals, and precision medicine. Okay, and then in addition to the participating at the conference, which will be showcased under the Australian Pavilion, Investment New South Wales will be also organising a 3-city programs for the delegates, and the delegates will have the opportunity to meet up with pharmaceutical companies such as Cipla, Sun Pharma, Dr. Reddy's, Mankind, some very familiar names that you've heard, Zydus. And the purpose of the programs will be able to give businesses an overview of the landscape of India market, particularly in the area of clinical trials, pharmas, and life sciences. We'll help companies understand their business entry strategy into India, engage them into pre-scheduled business meeting before the business land in markets, be able to introduce business to potential importers and distributor in India, and meet up with India industry associations. So that, to me, it sounds like a full-on program. So definitely do put your EOI forward. The next slide, please. I wanted to talk about Gerontech. Now, Hong Kong is confronted with these significant issues. Well, I think it's a blessing with a long life expectancy, but a very low birth rates. So as a forecast, by 2046, the Hong Kong elderly population will be around 36% and will be way more than Australia and Korea. And so with this in mind, our team in Hong Kong wanted to organize a Gerontech program to support and be able to bring Australian aged care technologies companies to enter Hong Kong. So the program's benefits will be that business will get to learn about how to get into, so again, market entry strategy into Hong Kong, learn about regulatory affairs into Hong Kong, connect with importer distributors, and get tailored support for business introduction into Hong Kong. Now, the targeted suitable companies are companies that are supplying aged care equipment, medical device that are export ready. Yeah. In terms of fees and expenses, again, everything will be subsidized with regards to the booth fit out, and business need to take care of their flights and accommodations. So this year for Gerontech in particular, we've got 6 spots available, and we've had more than half filled. If you are interested, again, do let me know. Now, the next thing is the Greater Bay Area. We cannot not talk about Greater Bay Area, China, when we've already spoken about Hong Kong. So the Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau area is known to be the Greater Bay Area. And in 2021, the Guangdong Medical Product Administration has announced a pilot program to allow Hong Kong registered medical device to be able to be used in certain area in China. And the measure was given because because the government wanted to ensure that the Hong Kong residents who work in the Greater Bay Area be able to access healthcare and devices that are registered in their territory. So because of this, there is a huge opportunity for Australian products and devices and solutions to be registered in Hong Kong and use it as a fast-track pathway to go into the Greater Bay Area in China. So by up to 2024, January 2024, around 28 Hong Kong registered drugs and medical devices have been allowed to be used in 19 designated healthcare institution in the Greater Bay Area. So we'd really definitely wanted to make use of this pathway. Now, the program benefits. So look, these programs is currently planning for spanning during March to early April, and will be covering the 4 cities of Hong Kong, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, and Shanghai. The benefits, again, is to be able to help you understand the regulatory affairs, be able to introduce businesses to potential partners, distributor and importers, and hospitals. And there's a lot of subsidies that we provided for that. Well, I think I wanted to pause there to see if there's any questions so far. Question with eligibility or yeah. Sure. Yes. So there are, I would say there's a little bit of a more stricter eligibility for Going Global programs. And these are available on our website. But basically for Going Global programs, you have to have a valid ABN registered in New South Wales, have a solutions that are ready to sell and ready to offer it to potential partners. In the case of a biotech solutions, we would need to see that you've got data backing and scientific backing up to certain stage. Ideally, we would like to see that a company have a minimum of 3 employees, but I wouldn't discourage business who have fewer than that to apply, because we wanted to see the breakthrough and also the application of the solution to be flagged with us, because sometimes we do take those in mind. And then other eligibility criteria, including things that are quite obvious, such as, your products might have already achieved some sales in the domestic market. You have a website that features your technology and solutions. You are flexible with market entry so that, you can localize, you're happy to localize it with the overseas market. Yeah. So that's for Going Global programs. The additional eligibility criteria, especially for companies who have joined us a couple of times before, is that there is a high priority for business who have not participated in the programs before, but we do take into account of repeat applicants. We would need to prioritize at the same level of export readiness for companies who have not been with us, and then should there be available spot available, we can place companies that have already been with us in the past. So I do encourage you to apply, but the companies that do have come to us as repeats, probably advise you to provide a very succinct application and don't spend too much time. Your information is already in our file, but we would really just wanted to hear what has improved from your last participation with us, and why is it that this time it will help you further. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually depending on different programs, and therefore I did spare time for David and Brad to speak separately for their experience when they were at various shows. So depending on your interest, yeah. So for US in particular, definitely there are area of opportunity to meet up with big farmers who are also potentially investors. Yeah, yeah. Well, I think now, we're running a little bit over time. I'd now like to introduce our next speakers. So David Lloyd, Managing Director of Southern Star Research, to highlight the learnings. So look, the angle is that we've provided all these support and subsidies, but what is it that we expect from your end to make the most of your journey? So David is the founder and managing director of Australian contract research organisation, Southern Star Research. David has over 30 years research experience working with academia, pharmaceutical companies, and contract research organisations. Without saying further, I'd like to introduce David to talk to you about his learning. Thank you.
Thanks, Sana, and thank you to Investment New South Wales for the opportunity today. So Southern Star is, just to set the scene, Southern Star Research, we're an Australian Sydney-based contract research organisation. So we provide services for biotech, medical device and academic research institutes as well. And we've been doing that for quite a number of years as well. I've also been going to a lot of these overseas conferences for many years, and our company attends somewhere between 15 and 20 conferences a year or functions around the world as well too. So we've sort of had a lot of experience in this sort of space. Over the last few years, we've certainly benefited a lot from the support we've had from Investment New South Wales. And I've got to say a big thank you to Investment New South Wales for the program, and also to some of the individuals here. So we've been working with Han, with Sean, Eugene, and Lawrence over in Taiwan as well too. So it's been a phenomenal effort that Investment New South Wales has put in. So for anyone who's not been involved in this program before and were thinking about it, I would actively encourage you to get engaged with it and have a look at it and see whether it can benefit and it's right for your company as well too, because New South Wales, and I know I'm obviously in front of a lot of New South Wales people here, has done a phenomenal effort over a sustained period of time promoting Australia and promoting Australian companies. So the help is there if you wish to go and grab it. It's up to you to sort of make the most of it. And I suppose that's part of my talk today, is what you can do as a company. Can you benefit from this sort of opportunity that's available to you, if you like? So I've sort of been asked to talk on a few topics. So which stage should a company think about joining and engaging in this program? If you do, and once the program starts, what you should be prepared to contribute. Once the partnering platform opens up, and partnering, if you've not done it before, is like you organise a lot of 30-minute little dates with other companies, sort of like Tinder, but for businesses, I often say. And what do you do? How do you make the most of that sort of partnering platform? And then when you're in those partnering platforms, how do you make the most of it and get a good outcome for your business? So it's a lot to cover in 10 minutes. So we'll see how we go. We've done a lot of these partnering meetings over time, and over the course of a year, our company would probably get or talk to between, I'll say 600 plus, maybe 600, 800 different companies at all the conferences that we attend. So it's a lot. It's a lot, and I'll come back to that later on. But we do see a lot of pitches from these organisations. Now, start off by saying, when would it be suitable for you? So Hans talked about the criteria you need to meet from a business perspective. But I would say to you, and I'm going to talk a bit more about the psychology around some of this, is that your organisation needs to be in the right headspace, or you need to have the right attitude to be going into this. And there's a couple of different aspects to that. First of all, you need to know where you are on the journey. If you're a seasoned professional and you know where you're up to, you've done this before, it might be your second organisation, or you might be a brand new start, never having done this before as well too. And so understanding where you are on the journey, but also being realistic about where you are on that journey, is extraordinarily important too. And as I said, I see a lot of different companies there, and certainly if you're a CEO with a lot of bluff and bluster there versus someone who's very realistic about where they are on that journey, there's a big difference there. And one of the things that I do as part of my role is to try and uncover which one you are, and you'll be very quickly found out if that's the case. So being realistic about that is extremely important. And if you're in the right headspace and you know what you want, and you also know what you don't know, that's very, very important, because if you're trying to pitch credibly to another party on the other side of the table, not being able to do that well is going to sort of trip you up fairly quickly. The science is important. The science, and obviously a lot of people have fantastic things they've developed. Never ceases to amaze me some of the amazing things and gadgets people come up with, and I feel very, very fortunate that we can help them along that pathway, and we see them in those early sort of stages and can help them out. So the science is really important, but so is the commercial too, because if you can't commercialize it or do what you need to do and get that message across, and you're on the right headspace to be able to do that, and you're too hung up on the science, then you won't be that successful as you potentially could be. So I'll say the first thing is be in the right headspace to do this and understand where you are on that particular journey. When you are attending the conference as well too, it's a big time commitment. It's a big dollar commitment to you, especially if you're a small biotech. And it also can be a big emotional and physical commitment too, especially if you've been around for a number of years and you're getting a bit older, and getting on and off the planes. Just saying, I'm just talking for a friend there, not me. So you need to be in that headspace where you can commit to it and commit to the program. So there's a committing to the program while you're over at the conference, but there's also committing to the program and the opportunities that Investment New South Wales and the seminar offers beforehand as well too. So you need to commit both parts, prepping and also while you're there. I would say once you get into the program, once the program commences, get into it. Don't be shy. Don't hold back. Again, I've said this before, but if you find you're an introvert, then pretend to be an extrovert and get out there and start networking. A lot of this space is designed for networking. So if you don't know what you don't know, get out there and ask questions and ask other people who've done this before. It's all about getting advice and learning from everyone else. I've been doing this for many years and I still learn a lot of stuff. I go to learn things from every conference I go to, and I certainly don't know it all by any means. And so go in there with that attitude, and you can go and talk to anyone you wish to around there to get some advice around this sort of thing, be it in the room here, or be it over at the conference as well. I would actually say just at the conference too, don't hang around with other Australians. Well, we're great, but you know, we're great and lovely people and stuff like that, but the world has a lot more to offer. And I find if you're one of those introverted scientists and you want to stay in your comfort zone and that sort of thing, great, wonderful. But you know, it's not going to help you out in your journey. You've got tremendous opportunities available to you. And I do see a lot of people hang around with their friends at the Australian Pavilion talking about whatever. But you can actually go out there and learn a lot of other stuff from other people too. So don't be shy about this sort of stuff. Get out there, walk around, put yourself outside your comfort zone, and be comfortable being uncomfortable, I suppose, is probably the best way of describing it as well. So dedicate time to learn about what you can do. Go to the pre-briefing sessions as well. Make the time for that. The other one is you have a partnering platform available to you. And again, for those not familiar with it, basically you put up your company profile and then the other people put up their profile and you look at each other's profile. And then if you see a match there and you think, okay, I can do business with them, you can invite them to a meeting. And if they like the look of you, they can invite you to a meeting as well. And then you go and sit in a room for 30 minutes together and see if there's an opportunity to do business. That's basically how it works. And with this partnering platform, you can set up lots of meetings. And to give you an idea, the most we've set up in one conference was 95 meetings, nearly killed us. But normally you can get about 15 to 20, but really sometimes it can just take one quality meeting to make the whole thing worth your while. So don't get hung up on the numbers, but it's just a matter of the quality side of things that you can do with that. But persist with those platforms because they do take time to organise and get through that. You do need to set aside dedicated time. We have one person in our office whose job is just to set up meetings when we go to those conferences. And you can, if you haven't got money to do that sort of thing, you can do it yourself, or you can get a university student in to do that as well too, to try and sift through all the numbers of delegates on the other side. So it can be done in a cheaper sort of way, but I do encourage you to set aside the time if you are going to be doing that to make the most of it for it. You can also, if you're over there, and you're trying to get meetings, you can fill your slots with other people who you wouldn't normally meet with. It doesn't have to be people who are just offering you funding. That's normally the number one thing people go over for, is to get funding. But it can be other like-minded companies, other things that can have complementary services for you as well too. So if you're over there, you might as well make the most of it and get as much information as you possibly can. And that's where it go back to being in the right headspace. If you are wanting to learn stuff, go into a meeting and say, I want to learn things. What can you do for me? What can I do better here? That sort of thing as well. Prepare questions for when you go into these meetings too. So go in with a whole lot of questions, what you want to learn, but go in and be prepared for all that sort of stuff. Research each of the companies. And so certainly when I go into any of these meetings, I have a whole background on each company or each organisation and know what questions I'm going to ask. I've got 30 minutes. I've got to impress them as much as they've got to impress me. Divide 30 minutes up by 2 is 15 minutes. Someone's late. Okay, so you've probably got about 10 minutes to do because you've got to get out to your next meeting as well. So 10 minutes, you've got to get everything across. And so do they. So you've got to be really, really on your game each time as well. So how to make the most of the conferences as well. So I'll say, first of all, bring some positive energy into it. You're jet lagged, you're in a foreign environment, you're exhausted because you didn't sleep properly the night before, and you've got a whole lot of meetings that you've got to get through. The other person's in the same situation as well too, so someone's got to bring their game. So it might as well be you. You're over there, so bring the energy in. Have a Red Bull or whatever it might be, and make sure you can do it in a sustained way, especially at the last minute of the day, last end of the day. It's easy in the morning. You're a little bit hyped up on coffee. End of the day, you've got a full bladder and you've had enough of the whole thing. But bring in that positive energy to make sure you see it all the way through. Now, one of the things that you saw on the earlier slides that Investment New South Wales offers is get your pitch deck right and pitch coaching. Really important. As I said, I see somewhere between about 800 pitches a year, and I'm actually evaluating. And even though I'm a service provider, so I'm selling to the companies as well, really. But the other way around is actually I've got to evaluate whether I want you as a client, because I don't want you wasting my time either as much. Even though it's 30 minutes, I've got maybe have 50 meetings, whatever it might be. I don't want to be wasting my time with something or chasing up a lead at the end of the day. It's not going to work for me as much as it is for the other party. So science is important. That's really important. Make sure you get that right. Normally everyone has a graph that has a line that goes up. So you never really know what the graph means because the axes are too small. So if you've got a product that maybe reduces cholesterol, the line naturally will go down. Change the axes so you've got a number of happy patients, and so the line goes up. If you're really insistent on showing the graph that line goes down, just be enthusiastic about it, I suppose. But ideally have a graph with a line that goes up. Everyone else does, so obviously it works. But then the other thing as well, I suppose, is with the commercial aspects of it. Well, actually, first of all, I should say with your science bit, make it simple so I can understand it. I mean, it was years since I went to university. I don't know every biochemical pathway in the body. And I probably didn't when I was at uni either, for that matter. But make it simple so that people understand what your message is there as well from the science side. But from a commercial side, you need to also be thinking about, okay, funding. What am I realistically going to need for in this first round? Do I need $50 million, or can I get away with $4 million to get me through to the next stage? So get that right in your head, but understand what you're going to spend the money on. So have a plan. So when I'm talking to people, I want to know, have they got their funding? When are they getting their funding? Have they got a plan? Do they know what they're doing? Do they have the expertise in-house? Have they got their preclinical work done? Do they know what sort of plan they're doing in the preclinical work if you're doing sort of developing, and also manufacturing? How have you got your manufacturing sorted? Where are you manufacturing? Have you got the funding for your manufacturing? When's your product going to be available realistically? So I'm evaluating all of that. Now I see 800 or so I can tell if someone's telling me crap. I can tell straight away just by asking a few sort of fairly pointed questions. So be honest, be direct about that sort of thing. If you want to go into a big marketing sales pitch, that's fine. You go for it. But again, if you want to get your money and get to the end point, then really you do need to be realistic and honest about where you are in that sort of setting, I suppose, too, for it. The other thing is make sure that presentation is slick. If you are going to do a presentation, I tend not to. I probably focus my time having a discussion and building a bit of rapport with them and credibility of that way. The other little quirky thing too at the moment is business cards. I'm somewhat old-fashioned, have a business card. So a lot of people have these, little apps. You scan your phone and you say, okay, go straight into your contacts things. That's great. Never see my contacts ever again. Wonderful. You're in my phone, but if you ever ring me, which you probably won't, but if you ring me, your number will come and go, who the hell's that? So no use. No use. Having a business card, because I write on the back of those business cards what I was seeing you about, who you were, as well as some mental jogs. So when I'm coming back home, I've actually got a business card there. I know what to do and who to follow up and so on as well. And then the last thing I'll just say, just about follow up at the end. So getting home, you've got all these wonderful meetings and so on, and you need to follow up and dedicate the time to do that. You've sort of got off the plane, you've been thinking about things and your brain's still spinning. You watched a couple of movies on the plane or whatever, you come home at 7 o'clock in the morning and you get home ready, okay, I'm going to do this because it's all fresh in my head. I'm really committed to doing this. And you get home and your wife goes, oh, cat had hairballs last night and threw up on the carpet. Can you go and clean that up? And then, and the dog rolled in something and it's really bad. Can you wash it urgently? It rolled in it 2 days ago, but it's urgent today. Can you go and wash the dog? And you've just been at this conference and you've been the best and brightest minds in the world. People are curing cancer and all sorts of things like this. And you've got rubber gloves on, wondering what evil crap this dog has washed and rolled in. And that's life. And then your wife goes, oh, and I've got my parents coming over for dinner tonight. And so your world disintegrates fairly rapidly once you get off the plane and start going back into life. And you just get busy. Life takes over. It's reality for all of us. And so dedicating that time when you get back for a few days just to follow up those leads, because they are precious. They've cost you a lot of time and money. But I'm guilty of it too. Dirty dogs, but just dedicating that time to actually follow up with the clients in a professional way at the end of the day, so you can actually make the most of those leads and sort of meet your commercial goals as well. So we hope that's some help. I'm happy to take questions at a later date, but thank you very much.
Thank you, David. As we all know, I'll get the bulk of my message through by inviting David. I'd now like to invite the next speaker who helps illuminate us on the next topics. Dr. Brad Wash is a Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of Minomic International, a Sydney-based commercialization stage in IVD, a company specializing in cancer detections. And I'd like to invite Brad, especially talking about programs that Brad has been with us to the USA, to the Middle East, and to Hong Kong.
Thank you, Han, and thank you, David, because you've given me the opportunity to make up time, because everything David said was gold. There were so many things there that he touched on. I thought, I should mention something about that as well. So what I will mention first that sprang to mind was around networking. And that is that when you go overseas, as he said, don't hang around with the Australians. Sometimes it's the only chance we get to see them, but don't hang around with them. But remember this, that most places you go to, they love the Australian accent. So you can wander up to someone and say, hi, I'm from Australia and I'm doing this. And you can get in conversation. And, sometimes some of the best conversations in those networking opportunities is that person who's standing around by themselves. And this happened at the Australia function at Bio, a gentleman standing by himself. I thought, go up and chat to him. Turns out he runs a very large investment fund out of Canada. And so, you don't know who you're going to talk to. Now, every now and then you're going to get stuck with someone. And if there's anyone out there that has a strategy about how to gracefully exit from that, please talk to me later. I've got a couple of slides just to contextualize what I'm doing. So David, in fact, is, we might be talking to someone like him. And so great intel for what he's looking for. But, what are we doing and what's our direction in this? So MyCheck Prostate is for the risk of clinically significant prostate cancer. If you jump to the next slide. So it's a next-gen test. It's a blood test. It's intended to help clinicians biopsy the right patients. So if you jump to the next slide. So it's disruptive technology, and the main thing in the middle there is the differentiation between the clinically significant and the non-clinically significant cancers. That's what the doctors are interested in. So we have good sensitivity and specificity. We actually lead the market in that. So if you jump to the next slide, what are we looking for? So our model is a distribution model. So what we're looking for is to partner with people. So here you can see the model. We measure 3 blood proteins and we put that together with a clinical factor, and we use that in an algorithm. So we have an in-country cloud server that calculates that. But what we're looking for are partners who have the front end. So these are generally pathology providers or labs that have the instrumentation. So these are the blood analyzers, clinical chemistry analyzers. So I think for New South Wales, Douglas Hanley Moir, who are our partner here in Australia. And that also that collection network, because we've got to get the blood from the patients, we've got to get it tested, get that data, get it into the server and then to the report. And you can see the nice little one-page report there. If it's in the blue, then you have a clinically significant risk, which of course goes up as you go past. And the last slide is not meant to be read, but shown, and that is just being clear about what we do and what we're looking for in our partner. So this helps define our pitch. So you can jump off the slides there. So that was just to try and contextualize it. So what it is, it's a product. And so what I'd say first is, when you are reaching out, when you are looking to partner, first thing is, what do you have? And so on these wonderful partnering sites, generally there's an opportunity to put some words in there and to send that off to go and see if you can build those partnering meetings. So be concise. Once you've got 60 of those emails and somebody sends you one that goes beyond the page, you're like, I just can't take another one. So what I tend to do is say, look, we'd really like to meet with you, and personalise it, say, we want to meet with you, we're interested in you. This is what we do, and this is what we're looking for. Can we set up a meeting? Now, behind that, of course, some of the things David talked about, the pitch deck is really important. Generally, you can upload those, so you can have that there and people can look at that. So that can be really helpful. We also have a nice little kind of one-pager that takes in the key elements of what we have so people can understand that. So those things are really important. And remember, as the name implies, going global, you're out there not just as a bunch of Aussies, but there are a bunch of Koreans, Chinese, French, Germans, Scots. They're all out there too. So, that's one of the reasons to keep concise. And one of the things, as David said, to really bring your energy with you and bring that Aussie accent. You've got to tone it down a little bit, otherwise they look at you and go, you are speaking English, aren't you? So, there is an attraction. People like to talk to Australians. So, press the advantages that we have in that and be excited about the great technology you have. So, again, to talk about, I think first, Arab healthcare. So that is the one that runs in Dubai. They're estimated, and I haven't seen the final figures, but estimated to be 110,000 visitors. So if anyone's gone to Medico with all those pavilions, that's kind of like Arab healthcare, except it's about 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And of course, it's run in January, which maybe is their cool season, I'm not sure, but it's still hot enough for us. So in something like that, it is great to have a booth. And so New South Wales had a booth. Moen, who you saw online, did a fantastic job along with other colleagues he had there in Austrade in making sure that everyone was looked after. Of course, frankly, I think people will be less experienced with that than, say, going to the US. So you need a little bit more hand-holding, and they did a fantastic job of that. And really, Arab Healthcare is very much the kind of meeting that we'd like to go to look for distributors. So it's not so much a place to go and target, for example, investors. I think that's not as much of a function in that. It's much more of a trade show. But the good thing is that we are in discussions now with a Saudi company who are very keen. In fact, they won't leave us alone in exploring the opportunity. So, things are coming out of that. And again, to pick up on something David said, very much that follow-up when you get back. The bio people had an analysis of that and looked at, how many people do follow-up, and you'd be surprised how small that percentage is. So one trick I've started employing now is just to have a little tracking sheet. I use smart sheets, but you could use anything, to just dash in there follow up X. So, I've got their name and their email and just a note to follow up. So when I get back and all those things happen, the cats, the dogs, the children, all that kind of stuff, you've still got a place marker there. It's sort of that balance between following up in a timely fashion, but not too much, because remember, they're all coming back from the meeting as well, and they're all doing the same thing and having the same disasters at home. So there's that kind of trade-off, but it's of key importance. The other meeting that we went to was in Hong Kong, And I would note that there is a significant opportunity that Hong Kong is really pushing, which is to access the Greater Bay Area. Getting into the Greater Bay Area, there are about 80 million people in that. So, it's about over 10 times the population of Hong Kong itself. So you might think, oh, Hong Kong, that's, a tiny market, but it goes beyond that into a much bigger market, and then a gateway into China itself. And there are some good regulatory pathways there as well. So, it's really one to think about. If you think your product or service has a pathway into China, but you're thinking that's a big bite to bite off, which it is, this is a good pathway to do that. And I would have to say that Hong Kong has been very active, and so there are also their trade and development people that interact with the team here. So they brought out the financial secretary, which is effectively the treasurer of Hong Kong. He came out here, visited a whole bunch of people, including my colleague Shane, who's been up to Hong Kong with me for SafeWatch. And so, really a great opportunity there that, again, is a bit outside the box, because we all often think of the US. Of course, it's a valuable market, and it's a market that really we all want to get into, but so does everyone else. And so sometimes a little closer to home. The other thing about Hong Kong, which they'll always tell you, is that, of course, they speak Cantonese and usually Mandarin as well, but they also speak English as a language in Hong Kong. So it makes it a little easier to make that transition across if you don't have people on the team who are native speakers. We fortunately do, but not everybody does. So those two, and then Bio. Bio was brilliant this year. I have not been to Bio for quite a number of years, but again, David gave a great rundown of it, and I think the thing that I would add is that, again, you need to be very clear about what you are looking for, and have the expectation that you're not going to turn up there for the first time and people are going to start writing you checks or contracts or whatever. It takes time. You've got to go back. You've got to establish your presence. People see that you're serious, and that is, again, really important. And I think too, for companies who have product, make sure that you have your IP position is clear, and you know where it is. So maybe you're at a provisional patent, maybe you've got PCT, maybe you're in country, maybe you're not at that stage. So one of the things that the Going Global program does very well is training in a bunch of those things like pitching and IP. So take advantage of that. Be very willing to share as much as you can share, whether that's around your pitching, your IP, your marketing collateral, because they are there to help the government. They're the government. They're here to help. We know that. So that's really important. And getting that feedback, again, something David said is know what you don't know. And if you don't know what you don't know, go and ask them. Go and talk to them and say, hey, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. What do you think? So get that feedback. I think it's really useful to get that feedback and to help to adjust. One of the things that was done for Arab Health was a nice little brochure, sort of a 4-page thing. They brought in a great team to help with that. And it was a really useful thing for many companies to be able to hand something out. Because again, with one of those really big conferences like Arab Healthcare, you are getting thousands of people walking through. And you get a lot of people when you're not there. If you go off to a meeting and you're a small company, and I was there by myself, there was no one, there was Moen to sort of talk more generally, but what else could he do? Well, he could grab that piece of paper and give them that and take that away. So look, I will stop there, but again, happy to talk to anyone about their experiences. Thanks.
Thank you, Brad. Well, I am well aware that we go into our networking and question time, but I hope that you found all of this information helpful. We have the room here with us for the whole day. If you are able to hang around or have any questions, we are more than happy to speak to you. And please do find David and Brad to ask more questions for the experience. I'd like now to open up for questions if people have any, and feel free to raise your hand. No question yet, but that's okay. I have a slide here that I can more than happy to send to everyone the slide after today, so you don't have to write down, take pictures. But there's a slide that I had with the hyperlinks just before this. Just wanted to remind everyone that the Export Market Development Grant, which is managed by Austrade, the new round will open for application in November the 12th. Please do make use of that. That's only eligible for businesses with the maximum turnover of 20 mil. So you over that. Unfortunately, that's not possible, but do go into the grant. They will open it for around 6 weeks or so, and so it's quite a narrow timeline. Do make use of that. The next grant, there is the MVP Ventures. Currently, the New South Wales MVP Ventures application is still opened. The MVP Venture and the EMDGs, both of them are eligibility grants. Okay, so they're not competitive grants. The eligibility grants means that if your business are eligible, you're able to get the grant. But the MVP is first come, first serve. And although on the website, it's dated that the application is open until Feb next year, we're not expecting it to be lasting that long. So do put your application in ASAP. The other thing I wanted to highlight is the New South Wales Export Awards. The New South Wales Export Awards is an award that celebrates the achievements of businesses with high proportion in export. And I would really love to see more New South Wales biotech and medtech sector to be named at this event. And I could, put people on the hotspot, but Pharmaco was award winner with a New South Wales Exporter Award last year, and I'd like to see a lot more of us coming forward. Well, if there's no more questions, we can get into the break room area and have some fresh refreshments. Thank you, everyone, and I'd like to thank you all of the businesses and the stakeholders and my team here to support today.